Good evening. My name is Carl Moss. I reside in Cordova. I'm the president of the Cordova Homeowners Association, and I'm here to speak on the subject, which is item number 5, Bill 2411, has to do with the permanent sidewalk easements in relation to Cordova. So the residents of Cordova were asked and negotiated good faith with Payne. They signed the easements after the negotiations and were told that they would receive payment that was negotiated within days of that signing of those easements. The easements currently have been recorded in the county, and probably a period of at least a month now has transpired since that time. And the representative for Payne has not fulfilled their part of the obligation to date. I just wanted to make certain that everyone on the board realized that, since this is something that's up for discussion this evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Good evening, members of the Board of Aldermen. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff. And before I start, I'm sure the mayor will be cutting me off at 3 minutes, and because he doesn't care about public testimony or what give a rat's darn about what other views are. But I may request an extension of time of the Board of Aldermen per the Roberts Rules of Order, and he would be forced into a vote to allow me maybe a minute or so to talk about important First of all, this afternoon's County Road Board meeting with the project ongoing, Stump Road. The County Road Board this afternoon approved dollars to the city of Darden Prairie. Funds that were described in the meeting were $200,000 for the water issue, utilities $50,000, and $70,000 of the from the general contractor. And I believe there was some money for acquisition of property. It's a shame the Public Water District number 2, who pays himself $1,000 a year for commissioners, didn't notify the city of Darden Prairie, and you're not on the same path, because that project could have been avoided, and it could have been coordinated between the two entities. And that's a crying shame at taxpayers' expense of over $2,000 right there just for the water line. Now, Schnucks at the corner of Highway K and 364 Outer Road at the County Road Board, they asked for $5 million of taxpayer money. And they're looking at consolidate. Desco, who owns Schnucks, is looking at consolidating the Schnucks grocery stores, possibly shutting down the Darden Prairie store and the Monticello store, and building a superstore south of Outer 364 Road and Missouri Highway K. And that would close and leave some dinosaurs throughout our community at 2 or 3 locations. The County Road Board approved the funding. They're also asking for money from the County Port Authority. They may develop a transportation development district for 1% tax and a community development district for another 1% tax. When it comes to the project for the Encore, that's a total ripoff for taxpayers. And it seems like we're going down the path of giving a $2 billion tax incentives, more tax abatements, more tax credits. We're paying for his real estate. But I'd like to see some actual things happen. And I would like to ask for another 30 seconds to 45 seconds.
I can't do it, Arnie.
Okay, then
I
under
can't.
Robert's Rules of Order,
No, it's not. You're wrong. You show me in Robert's Rules of Orders that it allows you to get more time than anybody else.
it would be
It
a
puts-
vote of the Board of
It
Aldermen.
puts everybody else in position to sue the city under their First Amendment right.
Not-
Yes, it is.
Not sue the city. They would have a right to request.
I am
I'm
not.
requesting under Robert's Rules of Order, somebody to make a motion on the Board of Aldermen to let me speak for one more minute
No.
about the public water
I'm not.
district who's ripping off taxpayers
Barney, your time is up.
and about running for public
Barney, your
office.
time is up.
I'm asking for a vote of the Board of Aldermen to extend my time.
I'm not going to ask for a board of the Aldermen to extend. your
Then you're
time
violating
because-
the ordinance that adopted Robert's Rules of Order.
It's not true. And I'll take my legal advice over yours any day. So it's not true. Arnie, would you please sit down?
You're wrong.
Would you please sit down?
I'm asking for a vote of the Board of Aldermen.
If you don't leave, I will ask you to be removed.
You can't remove me from a public meeting or a public chapter 610. I'm not creating a disturbance. I haven't threatened you. I haven't used
You are
customs.
creating a disturbance right now. You're disrupting.
You know what? You're a dictator.
Disrupting.
You're a dictator, and I'll make sure you don't.
Okay. New business.
Read Bill 2407 for the first time.
Got a motion to read Bill 2407 for the first time? Got a second by Mike? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Here none. James, will you read Bill 2407 for the first time?
Bill 2407, an ordinance of the city of Dayton, Prairie, Missouri, providing the approval of the second amended final plan for Prairie Encore development.
Okay, any discussion or debate? I mean,
I had asked Sean at the planning and zoning meeting to bring sheet showing the traffic flow other than what we had. A drawing at planning and zoning. The rest of the Board of Aldermen got it as an attachment, but we're going to bring that to show the.
Sean, I know he's your. Something.
So just an overall site plan. I don't have that. Or just the.
So what was the reception on this at planning and zoning?
There was,
We have 3 images.
3 images and I think there was a top view. I mean, do you have a concern, Dave, about the traffic
I just
flow?
wanted to see the traffic flow after they were showing that out of Starbucks, traffic going 2 different ways. I wanted to see it on the final plan because it was changed. It was changed for Starbucks. So did it change somewhere else? Did it? I haven't seen that.
Dave, it's right here. I mean, the arrows showing the traffic flows on the planning.
From Starbucks.
You can hand it down to.
Yeah, I mean,
Feel free to go.
It was one of the,
it's in the plan.
it's in the packet.
Okay, but it doesn't show lots along 5Z Road. That's what I asked for, was along 5Z Road. This doesn't show it.
But so just so we're clear, I mean, nothing on the affected site here even touches Faisy Road. So what's being changed? The question I was just heard was traffic flow from Starbucks, Faisy Road. Nothing is changing. That's Brian. So can I get clarification as to what it is you're trying to get? Okay,
That's a
I'm not
question
aware.
right there. You're saying it's Bryan Road. I'm saying it's out of 5Z.
That
It's
doesn't say
actually both.
Faisy, that says Brian.
It's actually both.
But the lot's not changing. It's adjacent to Faisy.
Not,
No,
So it's gonna be the,
there's nothing,
gas
there's nothing
station.
being.
between this lot and Faisy.
the gas
station will be.
Right,
I
that's-
think,
yeah.
Sean, could you tell them, show them on this drawing what has changed? It's my understanding, because I wasn't all the way in that loop, because since Todd's came on board, but it's my understanding that the entrance that shows where those movements are has moved to the west, to excuse me, to the east, to allow for the people coming out of Starbucks to make that turn.
so it has changed.
It's not.
That
it's
entrance-
addressed.
Nothing on Faisy.
But the lots have shifted one way or the other.
No,
The.
the building has shifted within the lot. That's it.
Let's go pick up window location. Slid this entrance.
Right.
Allow those cars to be able to leave.
Did you widen it or was just both, it's the same width, but just slid to the east? Same width?
Same thing with slid
Okay.
to the east. Allow these cars to be able to leave.
By leaving the site, they're leaving that lot. They're still on site.
Starbucks.
They're not actually leaving. They're not going. It's internal traffic flow.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going on.
Brian Road.
Didn't bring a physical.
Real quick question, just jog my memory, because there's been talk both ways. The Starbucks, that will include seating inside? Okay.
Any idea how many folks could be seated on that patio or what the planned number of patio seating?
That's maybe like 10, probably. Did you get normal setup?
I know this is the first time you've seen the new elevation. Any thoughts on that? I mean, because until just recently, pretty much we're held to the old Hackadoodles elevation because of some changes in the organization. They allowed us to do this. And I want to say that they bent over backwards to get this far. So
And it would look pretty good with a water tower back there. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I like the glass and stuff like that. I think this is definitely an improvement. And the stone on the Starbucks definitely looks really good.
It's definitely improvement. I was glad we got rid of the water tower and all that to start with, but now the whole frontage is.
okay,
Move for second reading.
Second.
that is motion for second reading by Keith and
Council.
Mike.
We're close enough.
Yeah, just pick one of them.
Second by Justin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. James, would you read Bill 2407, title only for a second time?
Bill 2407, an ordinance of the city of Garden Prairie, Missouri, providing for the approval of the second amended final plan for the Prairie Encore development.
Any more discussion or debate?
Move for roll call vote.
Second.
Got a motion for a roll call vote.
Keith beat me again.
Mike, Keith seconds. Kim, would you call the roll?
Aye.
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 Declare Bill 2407 as ordinance 2288.
Move to rebuild 2408 for the first time.
Got a motion to read Bill 2408 for the first time.
Second.
Got a second by Mike, first by Justin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. James, will you read Bill 2408? By title only for the first time.
Bill 2408, an ordinance of the city of Garden Prairie, Missouri, approving the record plat for Willow Grove and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Any discussion or debate?
Adam told me before the meeting, we talked briefly at planning and zoning, that he is going to do some landscaping on the common ground underneath the utility wires. And before the meeting, he promised me that that would happen, that somebody's working on it. So I'm gonna hold you to the promise. The other thing, and I don't know whether that thing in zoning, he asked for the mailbox. They'll all be in one location in that common area.
Any other? The motion to read Bill 2408 for a second time.
So moved.
Second. Dave, first. Justin, second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. James, will you read Bill 2408 by title only for the second time?
Here, Bill 2408, an ordinance of the city of Garden Prairie, Missouri, approving the record plat for Willow Grove and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Any discussion or debate?
Move for roll call vote.
A motion for a roll call vote. Justin?
Second.
Second by Mike. Kim, would you call the roll?
Aye.
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 Alderman Whitman.
Aye.
Ordinance 2289.
Declare Bill 2408 as ordinance 2289.
Move to rebuild 2409 for the first time.
Got a motion to read Bill 2409 for first time. Second by Keith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. James, will you read Bill 2409 by title only, first time?
Bill 2409, an ordinance of the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, Highways and Transportation Commission, and the city of Dardenne Prairie for a surface transportation block grant, STBG, urban program agreement to fund the Post Road Project Phase 1.
Any discussion or debate?
Move
Entertain
for
a-
a second reading.
Got a motion for a second reading by Justin.
Second.
Got a second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. James, will you read Bill 2409 by title only for the second time?
Sure. Bill 2409, an ordinance of the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri, also authorizing the city administrator to execute a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission and the city of Dardenne Prairie for a surface transportation block grant, STBG urban program agreement to fund the Post Road Project Phase 1.
Any discussion or debate?
Move for a roll call vote.
Got a motion for a roll call vote? Justin, second by Mark. Tim, would you call the roll?
Aye.
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 I declare Bill 2409 as ordinance 2290. Entertain a motion to read Bill 2410.
So moved. Second.
Justin first, Mark seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. James, will you read Bill 2410 by title only, first time?
With Bill 2410, an ordinance of the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute a deposit agreement guaranteeing land disturbance improvements with letter of credit by and between the city and Budrovich, guaranteeing the construction, installation, and completion of certain improvements with Cedar Stone Development.
I do want to reiterate something that Alderman Wadling said earlier, because I know there's been some confusion floating around about this item. This one, and I'll read it. This is for the development of certain real property known as Cedar Stone Single Family Residential. This is not for the apartments. These are the previously approved single family residential.
Move for a second reading.
Got a motion for a second
Second.
reading? Got a second by Keith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. James, will you read Bill 2410 by title?
Bill 2410, an ordinance of the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute a deposit agreement guaranteeing land disturbance improvements with letter of credit by and between the city and Budrovich, guaranteeing the construction, installation, and completion of certain improvements within Cedar Stone Development.
Any discussion or debate?
Move for a roll call vote.
Got a motion for a roll call vote? Mark, second by Justin. Tim, would you call the roll?
Aye.
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 I declare Bill 2410 as ordinance 2291.
Move to read Bill 2411 for the first time.
Got a motion to read Bill 2411 first time. Justin,
Second.
second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. James, will you read Bill 2411?
Bill 2411, an ordinance of the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute various permanent sidewalk easements in connection with the Cordova subdivision. Mr. Mayor, we're going to ask that this be held over for second reading until confirmation that payments have been made to the residents regarding all of those easements.
Okay, so
We want to set it to a date or?
I would just bring it up. Next
postpone it
meeting,
again.
We can postpone
You
it.
can move to postpone to the first meeting in March.
Was there any escrow still up?
Yeah, we still
There
have
is.
this. Yeah,
Okay.
but they said they would pay. So,
I know, I
yeah,
understand, but we do have a recourse with
Right.
escrow.
yes, we do.
Well,
No?
that's the maintenance escrow. The maintenance escrow is for items that are guaranteed by
That's right.
the engineer's estimate that was part of the original. So that being said, it's not to say that we don't have leverage, but we're not releasing anything until they make this happen.
Okay.
But we have went down the road of whether or not we
Can't
can just
use
pay
it to
them.
pay these.
Yeah.
I understand. Leverage is what. I'm
Right.
talking
Yeah,
about.
right.
So yeah, we still have
We're not gonna
leverage.
release it.
Looking for
Right.
second.
Second, Mike's motion.
Mike motion, second by Justin, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll postpone Bill 2411 till the March, first meeting in March.
It was at March 6th, I believe.
6th.
That sounds right, because you said 20th and 13th earlier.
That's it.
Okay,
And when you're ready, move to read Bill 2412 for the first time.
motion to read Bill 2412 for the first time by Justin,
Second.
the second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. James, will you read Bill 2412 for the first time?
Bill 2412, an ordinance of the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri, accepting the dedication of right-of-way along Fizey Road located in the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri.
Any discussion or debate?
A little embarrassing. I missed this one on there and did not review it. Where is this?
It's just, it's the property required for turn lanes into, for the Encore. It was required by the PD. Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
gotcha. Move for a second reading.
Got a motion
Second.
for a second reading, second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. James, will you read Bill 2412 for a second time?
Bill 2412, an ordinance of the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri, accepting the dedication of right-of-way along Fizey Road located in the city of Dardenne Prairie, Missouri.
Any discussion or debate?
Move for a roll call vote.
Got a motion for a roll call vote,
Second.
Justin? And a second by Mark. Kim, would you call the roll?
Aye.
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 I declare Bill 2412 is ordinance 2292, old business. I think we're just going to
How many times has this been read?
Once.
once. So
So
this is something to be read again.
I'd like to make comment before we proceed. I have not received, there were a couple of things that were asked, recording the December meeting for a itemization of what the increase in scope was and what we got for that. I would recommend not approving this until we either get those and they're satisfactory and we feel like we've got the value out of it. In my review of it, I've talked to a couple of the commission members, committee members who were there in January. And it sounds, just from the information that I've gathered, like PJV did what they were asked in December, and it was just sit and scribe. I'm still a little bit confused why we'd need a senior director and a senior project manager both there to scribe, but they were on site and scribe. The additional 40 hours plus worth of work, the additional $4,000, I don't know what we got for that. What the back end research and stuff like that was that they needed to do is take notes. So I'm looking for a little more before I can vote to approve any funding.
Alderman Costello, you were given an itemized, detailed hourly billing of what that was before the last meeting. So that was given. I mean, there is no additional detail beyond that, just like when we get a bill from Hamilton Weber or Weiss Design Group, we request what is an hourly billing and what they were doing at that moment that they billed us, that was provided. The scope is in the agreement there. That is the expanded scope. That is what they said that they were going to do per that do not exceed amount that is listed there. So there was some additional boards that were presented. There was some additional conversations, both with city staff, with the chairman of the committee, and obviously other internal communications that were all part of the outlined billing that was provided. As far as the December 12th meeting, you, myself, staff have been unable to access that. I don't know why. I did ask you, you're welcome to come up here and try to get Microsoft Teams to let us in. I don't know why it won't let us access that. Didn't give you permission, didn't give me permission. I was the one that created the meeting, so that is something that I'm not aware of. If I knew that this was going to be an issue, I would have expected you to come up. If you knew this was an issue, to come up and assist, which you've offered to do, try to get permissions to see this video, which doesn't change the fact that the work was provided, performed, and has been essentially billed. So, and this has been done in conjunction with the committee chairman who's here tonight. I don't know what else you want to ask. I mean, I don't know what else you're going to find.
So that what we got a substantiation for this was the number of hours that they're saying they worked. Don't know what work product was created there, don't know what came out of that. To assess if that is above and beyond the scope of the original engagement. So I typically, and this is in my professional life as well, I don't just take I work 40 hours, pay me kind of bill. I want to know what we got for that and what the scope was. So I can verify.
There was preparation for that meeting, which they listed in the original agreement, how many meetings, what the scope of those meetings would be, what the preparation for those meetings were. We held an additional meeting in which they did additional prep, research for, which was not part of the original scope. So
A meeting that they were asked by the committee, but that wasn't originally going to include them, but they said, no, we need to be there to watch and take notes. And so that's where I'm trying to figure out where the bulk of this bill is. If they were there to take notes, gather additional information from the conversation of the committee, why there was so much back-end conversation, why there was so much back-end research, what all the rest of that was, for them to come in and take notes.
they came with additional boards, additional information, provided it to the committee during that meeting. As far as the meeting itself, I don't know how a meeting whose sole purpose for that meeting was to provide them information to refine the vision of the committee. How can they do that if you're going to have some secret meeting where we don't include them? I mean, that was never.
Again,
there was never
we
going to
talked
be-
about this.
No, but there was never going to be a meeting that doesn't include another meeting with them if you're going to move past where the committee was. The committee had information from the last public engagement, from the online polls, from the previous committee meetings. The PGAV had that information and they had refined it in a way in which the committee had not, they were not able to give either clear direction or a clear vision as to what the next step would be.
Yeah.
So that was the impasse. It was going to have to be done in conjunction with them so that they could produce what they
Yeah.
produced there.
So, and this has been, we've gone over this, we have a different recollection of what was
So
said.
what I'm telling you is
But
fact, it's not a recollection. That mean that,
No, no. Hold on.
your request might have been not to have them there, but even if we would have had a meeting.
No, I never,
plus the
no one ever
committee-
requested not to have them there. Let's hold on for a second. There was a request for an additional meeting to gain consensus of the committee because it wasn't working. This standing out there and holding a focus group wasn't working. So the committee said, you know what, hold up, we need to regroup. This is not at all what we were talking about. Hold on and let me finish, please. This is nothing like what we were talking about. The committee needs to get together, look each other in the eye and talk to each other as committee members together instead of having a presentation for PGAV and PGAV just asking questions to the committee members responding. So that was the intent of that January meeting. So it was not so that PGAV could control it, that PGAV could lead it. It doesn't sound like that was necessarily what happened. I wasn't there. I don't have a recording. None of that is available. So I'm going by what the other committee members said. It sounds to me like PGAV took notes and did like they were asked. I'm just wondering if all they were asked to do, and I know this to be true because I was there at the December meeting, they were asked to take notes. They jumped in and said, hey, we need to be there to take notes so we know what you guys are discussing, but you guys go for it. So I'm trying to find out why there's an additional $4,000 above what the meeting would have cost with just those two sitting there taking notes. That is why, that's what I'm looking for is what did we get for that money? It's not been satisfied for me, so I can't vote yes on that. I don't know if we want to postpone it and ask for that additional information. If you say it's not going to be there, then we might as well take it to a vote and everyone can vote what they believe is right.
Can I ask a question? Is the meeting audio never gonna be available?
The meeting in question, well, I guess Alderman Costello's question about the December 12th meeting of the committee in which the committee requested an additional meeting. We have the recording. Why we can't access it, I don't know, some permissions issue on Teams. I, over a week ago, offered Alderman Costello to come in and take a look at it. That has not been done.
I don't know
What-
that I got that message, but I'm happy to come in tomorrow and do that.
So regardless of what was asked, as far as the committee asked for an additional meeting. There was additional conversations, both with myself, with Mr. Chairman out there, about what is this meeting going to entail? What do we need to do to move the committee forward in this process? The process was outlined. It was very detailed as far as the steps that would be taken. And that's how the scope of services was presented to the board and approved. To have an additional meeting, to have additional preparation for a meeting, or additional conversations was not part of it. That was done anyway throughout the holidays in order to move forward with this additional meeting to help the committee digest the information that had been collected, again, through the public comments, through other previous committee meetings, through the online surveys and polls, and then refine that, getting us back on track with the original scope of the agreement, getting us back on track, which is when we had the most recent public meeting number 2. So as far as questioning every, statement or comment that was made as far as the billing they gave us a detailed billing about what they were billing us for, who was involved, the hours they spent, the conversations they had and with whom. I mean, other than dragging them out here and saying, what did you talk about on this date on the sheet that has already been given to us from a month ago almost now? What did you say that's worth me paying you $200 an hour for? I mean, we can do that. We could do that with every consultant that works for the city. We don't, but we're just doing it here.
Commentary for additional parts where I move for a second reading and it's actually on the table.
Well,
For a second reading of 2406.
got a motion to read Bill 2406 for a second time.
Good.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay, I guess I'm changing to nay.
I voted aye.
Put it on.
I voted aye.
Put it on.
Voted aye.
To for a second reading, yes.
Okay, so it's 4-2.
Roll call.
Oh. Okay. Kim, would you call the roll for?
Nay.
Yay.
For clarification, we are roll call for a second reading?
Yes.
Aye.
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 Okay, so 4-2. James, would you read Bill 2406 for a second time?
Sure. Bill 2406, an ordinance of the city of Dayton, Prairie, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute an amendment. The agreement approved on September 6, 2023 with Peckham, Guyton, Albertson, Veets, DBA, PJV planners for professional services.
So I've reviewed everything James provided. I've certainly listened to the discussion on this. At the end of the day, we have a consultant, land use consultant that we've used consistently in the past on a lot of different matters. I think everyone agrees that they've been generally valuable to us in the past as well. Talking about a $5,000 bill, of which 40% of it is they were here, so they deserve to be paid for that, kind of at a minimum. If I'm going to any meeting as a consultant, I'm going to do some amount of prep work. I'm just going to walk in and if you just ask me to just come in and take notes, I'm still going to do some preparation work. Sounds like there was a call with city staff ahead of time. So at the end of the day, in an overall, I forget what the whole proposed amount was for the entire 60 something thousand plus, right?
Yeah, 60.
So
65, I think.
all right, so add in a couple more hours just for the planning work that they would do and the call to discuss some of the things that you've already mentioned, James, that have already happened. Now we're already at probably like 3,500 of the 5,000, 4,000 of the 5,000. We're arguing over $1,000 with them. I'm a contractor and this is somebody that I would expect to use again, or a consultant. Do we really want to argue this much over $1,000? Do you pay them and then you decide later, I don't want to use you next time. I'm going to fight with you next time. But I don't think it's worth $1,000. I think you have sent the message of debating it and you send another message. James sends another message. Don't waste our time. Don't waste our money here. But at least for these services and this extra meeting, it sounds like they did the work. And they should be paid for it.
You might recall the original proposal was 10. And this was the back and forth, the result of a considerable back and forth about those very issues that you're talking about. So it's not something lost on the staff. It's something that we've already, again, fought for to minimize the impact, both financially on the city and to scale back their scope to what was absolutely necessary. But at this point, I mean, they have, as you said, performed the work, and we have moved off of an impasse and we can really move forward with the rest of the $65,000 investment that we made.
And another point that isn't lost on me is that I have not heard from any other committee member that this is not of, that this meeting wasn't of value or anything else. So that's where I'm at this point. I think you should pay the people that do work for you.
How many meetings in total, this committee have from beginning, not including the meeting talking about here?
The original.
4 steering committee meetings, what they have listed here, and 2 public meetings.
So that's an average of over $10,000. Just to put it out there, so to kind of add on to your point, it sounds like that's what they tried to initially come forward with. We brought back down to 5. So again, it's not really off of what we initially paid for. Do understand Alderman Coslow's concern with some of the communication challenges and issues. And I think that that's something that we should take away from this as a notable point to kind of work on. I don't know how else to say it other than that without diving back into the granular details that Alderman Coslow has very effectively gave us a good overview of. But I do agree financially. I agree with Alderman Underbach on many of his points. And we would act in good faith and understanding that it is half the price if you look at from the other 6 meetings.
And city staff already beating them up with what they tried to build.
Any
Well,
others?
there's one other item, not PJV's fault necessarily, but one thing that they should be aware of is beginning and undertaking work without any kind of signed change order is not good practice, and
I'm guessing they're probably not gonna do that.
probably not.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that falls under the communication challenges that we need to kind of continue to work forward.
100%.
Anybody over here?
On that note, I'll move for a roll call vote.
Got a motion for a roll call vote? Got a second? Justin, Keith? Kim, would you call the roll?
Nay.
Johnson,
Aye.
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 Conley,
Hey,
Whitman,
Aye.
Goodmeyer. Nay.
Okay, in the words of former,
You just catch your.
yeah, it's gonna be yes, because I've been an alderman for 6 years, mayor for 3, and every other time I've been told and heard from other aldermen, we need to pay people when they work for us, okay? Whether we agree or disagree with, we hired them to do work. They gave us a bill and we'll pay them, yes.
It also helps that you negotiated the scope without board approval too. That's probably in there.
What do you mean? No,
The
Me?
change order,
I had nothing to do with any of this committee, Mike. I've never talked to anyone at PGAB. I stood completely out of this. Now, you, on the other hand, have
That
been
passed, correct?
influenced
And inform us of the result.
the committee. Ordinance 2293, I declare Bill 2406 is ordinance 2293. Okay, staff communications.
I would like to thank everyone for coming tonight. I imagine a lot of it was over the publication that came out in the mail today, online a couple weeks ago. I personally am not moving further west. Another thing in that, Head Rivers, as I skimmed through it today, there was comment about what the city needs and what the residents want. To me, the city and the residents are one and the same. Thank you.
And I'm gonna address that article as saying, I'd like to have that tape, Jessica, that you recorded. You got it? Okay, I would like to have a personal copy of it because, huh? I did not call them, I did not, let's play that tape.
Thank you, Mayor.
No, okay.
It's still the Alderman's turn to speak.
Boy, you've taken so many things out of context,
My turn first.
so many things.
By the way, Dave started talking.
No,
He jumped in.
Can we get back on the agenda?
Yeah.
Agenda, please. I think we're still with Alderman.
No,
No.
no, we're done.
We're not doing. She needs to.
Can you send me a copy of it? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Can I address position? I gotta.
Yeah. Okay, city attorney,
I don't know.
city engineer.
Never were on the Alderman.
We just got
I'll just rely on, if there's any questions against the report, I'd be happy to answer. I would like to say that the county road board, we've made some additional progress. James and myself and Lindsay from our office had a very good meeting last week with the road board for some additional things like, can we do some improvements to the Henning Bridge deck? Those things like that as we go through the TAP grant process. They have given us some positive signals on that. We still have to submit the grant applications, et cetera. But so we've had some really good conversations about all of our projects with the county road board over the last 2 weeks. And they are very happy that Garden Prairie is very active in the program.
Okay.
Thank you.
City administrator.
Sure. So I have a few things. I did want to make sure that Ms. Detweiler and anybody else concerned about the fireworks issue, it is something that has not been forgotten. It's still on our calendar, and it's a conversation that we've had internally with our staff about planning an educational campaign, getting closer to the fireworks season. Ignorance is not a justification for breaking the law, and anybody who goes to Jeffco to buy, military grade fireworks is not just, oh, I didn't know. They know what they're doing. And even if we don't tell them, they're still breaking the law. So I do encourage everybody, and part of this campaign will be to encourage residents to let the city, our law enforcement know when these things, when you see these things start to take shape. If you see a pallet full of, industrial grade fireworks being dropped off on your cul-de-sac, call the city right away. Don't wait till the night of when they're already chasing gunshots and fireworks all around the city. Call and let us know. We'll investigate right away. And that, we don't, as may or may not already realize, we don't have those sorts of things being sold in our city currently. Tonight's fireworks permit, again, that's not the thing. Those aren't the things that I think the people are concerned about. What we're seeing is those people who are either buying them illicitly, or they may have a permit to purchase it. They certainly don't have a permit to display it. They certainly can't display it within a local subdivision. We'll make sure that that's abundantly clear to everybody in the lead up to fireworks season. And I don't care if they spend $100,000 and they have nowhere to shoot them. That's not my problem. They know better. That would be their own stupidity. But we will make sure that everybody gets fair warning, and they will be enforced this year. We will make sure we coordinate with our law enforcement on that. As for some of the conversation that we had about the difficulties of having meetings off the dais, we did try some technology, which we do have here in City Hall, which I think we're going to try to test for the next planning and zoning meeting. We might have a workaround to actually get everybody on the Teams meeting around we have one of those Bluetooth conference, audio conference microphones. We're going to try to see how well it picks up with everybody at P and Z in the work session next time. Hopefully that will help us improve any kind of meetings that we have off the dais, so that we have both video and audio record, which is the issue right now. Didn't have any other microphones for that. I do have a microphone we're going to test for that, so hopefully that will be hopefully that'll be successful. At least we'll have something for the future as it pertains to our work sessions, P and Z work sessions, or the Town Square Vision Steering Committee work sessions. Also was brought up, and I know Mr. King brought up the issue of the contract. I mean, it was on the agenda, so nobody was hiding how much it was. The contract for the construction cost was $185,000, which is, I think, what was asked and answered. There was another $14,000 in engineering costs that went along with that. That would be the $200,000 you referenced. So nobody's trying to conceal it. It was in the ordinance. It was on the agenda. It was plain sight. What I did want to tell everybody, which is an exciting development, which is the total overages that we've had either because of the right-of-way acquisition process, right-of-way acquisition consultants, the utility locates, which the only two utilities that have given notice to the city, and at this point, I'm told all at the pre-construction meeting here last Friday, no one except for PWSD2 and Ameren submitting to the city for reimbursement. That's a total of $218,000 between the two, for PWSD2 and for Ameren. Not Spire, not Gateway Fiber, not MetroNet, not any of the other ones that were sitting around that table. So you ask, is there a question? What is the cost to relocate Spire's line? I don't care, because we're not paying it. Spire is paying it. We're not paying it. So, and then the total overage for this project, we did get confirmation today, will be shared 80-20 with St. Charles County. So St. Charles County will be paying $298,918 of the overage. Garden Prairie's portion will be $74,000. So that is the final for the right-of-way acquisitions, utility locates, and then the construction contract, which we have already executed and waiting to give a notice to proceed. So that's where I want to make sure everybody was aware. That's where we are now on the Stump Road project. That's short of having something catastrophic happen out there in the field. Pretty good. We have a pretty good feeling that that's where we're going to end up, on this project as far as cost. St. Charles County was very generous and helpful in helping to defray some of those overage costs. And it also, just so we are clear, the water line, again, the reason for that cost was because keep in mind, this project, this started about 5 years ago, as far as the process of designing, the application process for STP, all of that. So in that interim period, the water company, in their own easement, put in a new water line. They didn't tell the city. They don't have to. It's their own easement. By the time we got to actually designing final design, there's a water line in the way. So that was really an uncontrollable expense, unfortunately. But again, Garden Prairie in the end is only going to be on the hook for $74,000 out of the total $373,000 overage. So, and I believe that's it.
Okay. So, Tuesday and Wednesday, we went to Jeff City for the legislative conference, met with quite a few reps, senators, and it was a very good visit. I encourage all the aldermen. I know Mark went, James went, I went. If you can make it, try to come. It's important when cities show up like St. Peter's, O'Fallon, and most of their aldermen. A good show. Another thing I want to address is we get phone calls, emails all the time about, I don't know, potholes, trash laying around. We actually have now people that can go out and fill potholes. We've had this a request on Feisy and Bryan, I believe it was one, or couple. Those have been filled today by our group. Typically, we're waiting weeks, sometime months, when we put in an order to St. Charles County to go fill them. So when it comes to trash, we've got residents all out. Jim Painter, how old is he now? 91 years old. On his own, he walks Henning Road, Barrett Haven Park, and picks up trash on his own. I know when I lived in Barrett Haven, we had a subdivision group that we went through there about once a month just to keep that park clean. And I know there's people that still do that occasionally. Had a request to pick up trash in the skate park. We can't do that as far as the city goes, but you can as citizens. Aldermen can do it too. The pictures that were sent to me along the fence that borders all around Garden Prairie, that trash to be picked up in, I don't know, a couple hours by 3-4 people. Community involvement is important with anything. I'm going to go back to my first week as alderman. We had a problem with our fountain in the back, the pool. It was leaking. You put water in it, it'd drain overnight. We had bids, about 4 bids, over 10,000 to fix it. Me and Bob easily fixed it. And for about $2,000 worth of material. It's still holding. That was the first. I'm going to move all the way up to just recently, our refrigerator upstairs quit working. It took about, I don't know what, $60 worth of material. I sent in the, but myself and Phil, the starting capacitor on the refrigerator was bad. We replaced it, needed a shot of Freon, put Freon in it. Now, from the pond, the water heaters, to the cooler out in concession stand, it can go on and on. Kim, got an estimate about how much money we've saved by doing it ourselves? My estimate's over $100,000.
John, why don't you put an application?
So-
for maintenance.
So anyway,
You have it on.
so what I'm saying is that we're a small city. We need to all pitch in and do our part. So anyway, go ahead, Mike, or Keith.
Yeah, is that the alderman, is it the alderman's turn?
Sure. Go ahead.
Before you go, because I'm gonna go to normal thing. But just because you called out one of our residents of Ward 3, who's always picking up trash along the side of the road, and we actually have a couple in Aberdeen that's always doing it as well. The Provost Sex there out along McClure Road all the time, picking stuff up, and I don't think they've ever should have gotten the due credit that they, for everything they do.
Bring them,
Other ones,
bring me their names. We'll notify them.
All right.
Or we'll give them notice.
I'll get them for you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
to add to that, my son and I came out this past year, well, a year ago now. There's an annual event. Somebody's worried about trash. There's an annual event. What's the name of it?
Clean Street.
Clean Street. We expected, my son's 5, he's 4 then, but we expected a good number of folks here. We were the only 2 people going out and cleaning up Barrett Haven, the entire Barrett Haven Park trail. So if, there's opportunities that exist all around, the city throughout the year to do participate. The point's taken, and if folks are, having complaints about that, please do look for those opportunities and participate, because there was a lot of volunteers out here to help put it together, and nobody shows up, and those things eventually go away, and then the problem gets worse. So anyway, go ahead.
I don't want to step on them too much, but the way you can help, even if you don't come out, follow the Facebook page and share all these events with anyone else in Darden Prairie. The greater visibility we have, the more hands we can get out there, and the more fun we can have.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Thank you. So I wanted to kind of share a couple things and just to make sure, is this something that we can talk about? The findings from the traffic report on Stump Road?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the mayor had sent this on to us, and we had some discussion about it previous 2 meetings ago in January, the end of January. And so Captain Hunt provided some data that kind of indicated whether, how bad the speeding problem was. And without going into all of the data, a couple of notable points, a radar sign was deployed there, and in 21 instances, 0.2% exceeded 15 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. Only 2 vehicles in a 5-day period, 2 vehicles surpassed 25 miles an hour over the limit, and then one highest recorded speed of 69, which shows there is some drag racing that does take place. And so the conclusion is that there was really no chronic, while isolated instances of speeding violations were noted throughout the analysis period. The data suggests that Stump Road does not exhibit a chronic speeding problem. But there was a recommendation for continued police presence and sort of monitoring the traffic. So it's a good, it's out there. I think the city could probably provide it to anybody who's interested. I know it's been a hot topic of discussion around Stump Road. So I just wanted to put on everybody's radar that there is a traffic study that has been recently conducted on Stump, and it's out there.
Hey, Keith, do you know how recent it was? Because they had a sign up, and the sign was up for maybe a day, couple
Said,
days.
118 to 122. And then so then they had enforcement detail results for 17-day period. And then the report came out 128. I went by on the 19th, I'm in Ward 3, but I drove by on the 19th, and there was a police officer. The one time I drove through that road just to kind of see it, police officer had somebody pulled over. I got a picture of it too. So it was just kind of, not something you really expect to see, but it was, so they were definitely out there and enforcing and taking care of business, and, just kind of try and help us ascertain the nature of the problem. So again, just wanted to share with folks here, and I think the board's seen it, but it's out there for those who are concerned with it. It's good information to have. Other than that, it's a good segue into say thanks for St. Charles County police officers for coming out here and providing some security for us. And I always appreciate you guys coming out. And thanks again for everybody that's coming out and expressed good, bad, or indifferent. Always good to hear your opinions and thoughts. Thank you.
Want to discuss this?
I talked to Alderman Johnson. I think we're gonna just table it for now. Maybe go back and have a conversation with the homeowner and talk to some of the other Board of Alderman members. So it's
okay.
He found some more information out, and we might take an alternative course than address the board right away. But thanks for checking.
All right.
I have a question. Well, I actually have a comment. Seem to have continuing sound issues, and some of the residents said, and I know I'm guilty of it because I have to have it in front of me, and it's not always real convenient, but they specifically asked that the mayor and James speak clearly through the microphone so they can hear. And I know we talked at one time about getting better sound, but the sound quality seems like it's a reoccurring issue. I mean, I know they were talking about the sound quality for P and Z, but this is sound quality at the board meeting, and sometimes it's hard for the residents that are sitting out there unless you have it and you're just talking right into it. Just would passing that along.
Note on that real quick, was it Monday? I was actually having lunch with one of the guys out in Marcos who installed this system. He wasn't the one that installed it, but he works for Marcos now. And had him come out and take a look and see if they could do anything with their system, if they had the schematics and if they could do anything to help to improve that as it stands today. But I do still intend to work with James to get an RBA out there for some kind of RFQ or something to improve the situation.
All right,
To adjourn.
got a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Board meeting adjourned.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir.